So, my name is Jennifer Bryan. I am the Digital Marketing Manager at Click Media Marketing. We're a small agency based here in Cork City. That is my Twitter handle up there, Jenny Bryan. Jennifer was taken. I have many variations, thankfully. So feel free at any point to tweet me, DM me. I've opened my DMs, so any questions you have afterwards, if we run over, I know the last one ran a little late, feel free to message me and I'll get back to you on any questions afterwards as well. And hopefully we'll have some time for a Q&A at the end as well. So I'm going to start off by talking about the top trends on Twitter, the latest features, connecting and engaging, content creation, hashtags, the press, and key tools to use. So I think the main thing that everyone should start thinking about and take away from this is the old Twitter strategies of automating everything out through, now in fairness, I still use buffer and those kind of things. But if you are just scheduling articles all day, every day, and that's kind of the bones of what you're doing on Twitter, that strategy needs to change. It's the app itself is changing, the platform's changing, and that's where you need to get started at least. So Twitter is what's happening. Back when I first got interested in Twitter was when I was doing my undergraduate degree in government and public policy. I started that in 2011, the same year as the Arab Spring, and that just swept across North Africa and the Middle East, and it was mostly done through Twitter. It's amazing that people are still astounded that social media will impact political change, but here we are, and it does. Twitter is what's happening in real time, and it's where you should start with anything you have, news, big, small, or news. So Twitter is mistaken as a social media app still, but if you go to the App Store, it's under news. So you need to remember that that's what it is now. It's moved away from social media a little bit. Now it still is, but for the most part, it is news, and it's the #1 in the news app as well. So here are just some quick kind of statistics around Twitter. So 6,000 tweets sent every minute, 77% of Twitter users feel positive about a brand when a tweet has been replied to. 29% of the Irish population uses Twitter, and 37% of that 29% open the app every day. 25% of verified Twitter accounts are journalists. That's again hinting back at the news element of Twitter. It's a news platform essentially now. Here you can see in the middle where you have your For You, your news, your sports, your fun, entertainment. This is almost like what you would have seen in the Irish Times or any other newspaper. You would go to your news section, your sports, your entertainment. It's very much structured that way now. Visually on Twitter, tweets with images get 18% more clicks. Videos get 10 times more engagement. The average lifespan of a tweet is 18 minutes. Does anyone remember a service called Clout? Yeah. Whatever your Clout, now the service is gone, but it was fantastic. What it would do is you could put it in your browser, and every account you went into on your own, it would give you a ranking out of 100. People like Justin Bieber and Barack Obama would be the ones now in like 90 to 100. I think I had a whopping score of 44. But that score directly correlates to how long your tweet will live, if you can remember your Clout score. But unfortunately, that service is gone. The average is 18 minutes. And I want to really drive home that 18 minutes is nothing. Tweet frequently, because if you are tweeting once a day and think it's enough, it's probably not, because half an hour after you've tweeted, you may as well have not tweeted again unless someone is actively looking for your account again. And 78% of people who complain to a brand expect a response within an hour. Twitter is notorious for brand complaints. It's also notorious for, it has a good balance, I mean, between good and bad. I'm sure everyone is aware of Twitter trolls and bots, but respond to them. And the best thing you can do is take them into your private messages. Take them off the public side of the platform. If someone is engaging with you negatively, just say, look, we're really sorry about your issues, the X, Y, and Z. Whatever we can do to help you, please DM us the information. Just take them off the public platform, because you don't want too much negativity spiraling around. This is your brand voice. So Kylie Jenner tweeted this, her walnut face scrub, and Lidl got back to them to say, great to collaborate with such a big name on our new range of barbecue sausages. So you can just see here, brand voice is so important. Just putting that little bit of personality behind your Twitter account makes a huge difference. And look at the level of reach they've gotten on that. 7.5k retweets and 45,000 likes. Likes and retweets are going to push things into other people's newsfeed, and everyone knows about their barbecue sausages in store May 22nd. So it's a great way to be. If you don't have anything major to tweet about, interact with big brands like this in a witty way, and you're going to get reach very, very quickly. So next thing I'm going to talk to you about is the latest features. So Twitter is all about to change. So at the moment, Twitter is testing a beta version of the app. You can do some research on it if you want. It's called Twitter without the vowels, so TWTTR. It's being set out to a select audience. So it's only those people who are engaged in that trial, are putting up blogs and stuff. You can have a little look at it. It's doing a lot though. It's going to take away the engagement features. You're not going to be able to see retweets and likes anymore until you click into someone's tweet, which is great for anyone with, I know I've had it in the past, a little bit of imposter syndrome when you want to tweet something out and you're going, oh, no one will like or no one will do anything with this tweet. If it's not there, it's not a problem. Tweet to your heart's content. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is these are all things that are currently on the Twitter app that work well and aren't going to change anytime soon. Double down on video, 10 times more engagement. It is the quickest and easiest way to get further engagement on your Twitter account. If any of you have heard services like pixabay.com, they do great stock. I wouldn't push stock video too much. It does look like stock video at the end of the day. Do you remember before you'd have your stock images with someone absolutely delighted eating their salad or, you know. So the best thing you can do is have a look at stock video. If you find something related to your industry, I would take it and do some chop and cutting. Always edit stock video. Volume is key. The highest performing Twitter accounts still tweet an average of 15 times a day. That is somewhat excessive to most people and most businesses, especially if you're a small business. The key point I'm trying to make here again is that frequency rather than, again, 18 minutes. So even if you're starting out, even 3 times a day, just make sure that you're spreading things out. What I usually tell businesses to do is first thing in the morning, around lunchtime, and after work again when people pick up their phones. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Twitter Moments. I was going to show this feature live during this workshop, but they have moved the feature from the app to the desktop. So essentially, these are 3 great accounts that do Moments quite well for their campaigns. Essentially, what you can do with Moments is curate other people's tweets. And what you can do when you curate other people's tweets is you can talk about your industry. You can talk about if you have a product launch, if you have a service that's being launched. You can go in, see what people are talking about, and curate them into a moment. Moments look a lot like Instagram stories when you click into them. It's a feature that's not used a lot, but it is a unique feature, and with a unique feature and not a lot of people using it, goes hand in hand with people being intrigued. It's just human nature. These are the things you need for a Twitter moment. You need a cover photo, title, header, description. Curate the tweets, check with brand guidelines, always check with your brand guidelines, and send your tweet into the world. So it's a great way just to kind of collect other people's tweets. Because it's not going to, I mean, you saw there with Little, it's not all about your tweets, it's about how you engage with other people's tweets as well. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the search feature. This is the advanced search feature on Twitter. It is absolutely fantastic if you're doing any form of competitor research. So up here at the top, you can search words, people, places. So say, for example, I work in Click Media Marketing, and I want to know what people are talking about in digital in Cork. So I'm going to put in the word digital in the words, one of the words, probably all of the words as opposed to exact phrase. Then, God, I don't want to name any other digital agency, but mention these accounts. I'll just pop in another digital agency in Cork, we'll say, and I'll be able to see straight away through the search feature what other people are saying about that digital agency. Or you can use it to check out, say, if you sell jumpers. You could go in and put in the word jumper from add location to Cork, we'll say, and you can see what people are talking about your product in a certain area, because Twitter is vocal. Twitter is your voice, it's your personality, it's your professional voice, it is your business's voice, it is a cumulative community voice as well. So it's really good to use this feature. I find it great for competitor research, for your own research. If you're not sure what you should be tweeting around your industry topics, this is a great way to see what everyone else is doing as well. This is the Twitter Media Studio. So in the Media Studio, essentially you have your library. It's a little bit cut off, but you've library, producer, schedule, and analytics. The Media Studio is essentially a library of all of your media. You can upload it in here, so you can have your images, your videos. I think this is a great tool that is underused by businesses, because if everyone has access to it, I would be uploading all your content to it, because Twitter is an on-the-button platform. If something comes out and it starts trending, you're going, oh, we had that 2 weeks ago, and like I have to go digging for the content. If you have it in your Media Studio, it's directly accessible, and you might have content that you're not using for a while, and it's great to have it all in one place. These are just some of mine. Twitter ads. Twitter ads are becoming less popular, therefore the cost of them has decreased, but I don't use Twitter ads for adverts that much on my own account anyway. I manipulate the features for organic posts though. So what I do is, when you go into ads, you have this creatives button up here in the top left, and from there you can create cards. So you can create your website card and your video website card. If you have an app, you can do the same with the app image app card. So essentially what it does is it puts your video and link together in one little square. It's keeping it out of your tweets. Now, I know that we've upped our game to 280 characters, but sometimes even that's not enough. So here's one I made yesterday. You can see here, maximize, you can put in your headline, your video, your URL where you want to send people to, and just the name of your card. That's just for your own purposes. People can see the headline, so I just bear that in mind. Then, if you untick the promoted only box and just hit tweet, or if you hit from the drop down here, you'll have an option to schedule it as well. So I actually use the schedule feature in ads rather than buffer sometimes even. It's just a great way to do it. Just remember to untick it, because if you just hit tweet, it's just going to sit in the promotion box and you might get an email a few days later, you forgot to put budget behind your promoted tweet. But just untick it and you can schedule them out like that. This is what it looks like then. So I have my little tweet in the top, I have my video, and people can click straight through to the website as well. So it's just keeping it nice and neat and tidy, but the ad feature for that is really handy. I know some people prefer to use the media library, and that is great if you have a few people feeding into the account, but if it's just your own account or a small business, I think it's a really, really handy feature because it's just so compact and it looks visually pleasing. These autoplay as well in the timeline. So the next thing I'm going to go to is connecting and engaging. So behind every Twitter account is a person, not a business, but sometimes a bot. So every account is a person. This goes back again to your personality on Twitter. Don't be afraid of it. And trying something is a perfectly valid strategy. If you want to try a sillier voice, if you want to try something a little more professional, just try it for a few weeks, see how the engagement goes with it, because you're going to need, like, every one of us in this room has a different personality and different sides to that personality. And it's about finding the best personality that works with your business. And that is going to take trial and error. Some people are a little bit afraid of jumping into that, kind of putting a big personality behind a business. But on Twitter, it does work really well, and it's proven time and time again that it does work really well. What I would suggest doing is nearly find someone in the office or yourself and just kind of go, what do I want people to perceive of my company through Twitter? It's going to be different from Instagram and Facebook and stuff, because you're going to be a little bit more on the button. If you have any bit of wit, go with it, because it'll work really well. And it's only going to last 18 minutes anyway, so unless it's being bombarded. Now, the other thing as well is that if you're afraid to step into this kind of personality step, if you wait a little while until Twitter releases this beta that it's using with the kind of less visual engagement features, if that makes people more comfortable, maybe start planning your personality now, and then when that is released, that'll be your perfect opportunity to step into that personality. So if you're unsure where to start, so these are some good themes that you can start with. You could highlight your customers. You could share facts about your industry. That's always a really good one for smaller businesses that don't have a huge amount of, or a major customer base or anything like that they can really tap into. But if you start talking about your industry, you're going to instantly look like that you know what you're talking about, you're professional in the industry. And so you should share those facts. And I'm sure everyone's industry in here has been trending, or something associated with it has been trending on Twitter at some stage. Tap into that. So you can introduce your employees, you can do how-to tips, showcase moments of history in your industry or products. Where did you come from? How are you here? There's so many ways you can vary your tweets that you could spend 1 week highlighting your customers. The next week, just rotate things a small bit. This is just kind of pulling people away from their old Twitter strategy of the articles, because I sometimes go into companies' profiles and that's all you'd see. And there's limited engagement. In fact, a lot of the newspapers do this as well, which I think is a big mistake for them, because the journalists really outperform them. The journalists, like Jennifer O'Connell, she works for the Irish Times. Her account well outperforms the Irish Times accounts, just because she's human behind it, where she's not banging out articles or the same thing all the time. So here are 3 examples of tweets in my industry. So the first one there is Gary Vaynerchuk. That's a tweet I could easily retweet, reply to, engage with. The one on the bottom left, an article. I could click in and read that article and respond with something decent and engage with these influencers in a bigger way. Danny Sullivan, happy 10th birthday to all the good folks over at Bing. It's nice to be nice on Twitter. He's also the head of public service. He's the public search liaison at Google. So Bing's biggest competitor. So you probably all saw him earlier, but this is a quick video here on just some ideas for your Twitter engagement.
In this video, I'm going to share 5 types of tweets that generate a ton of engagement, and I'm going to share some examples with you. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Is Twitter dead? Lots of people are saying Twitter is dead. Is it dead? I'd say there's one big problem with Twitter, and that's your Twitter strategy, right? We're still using these outdated Twitter marketing strategies where we automate a load of articles and send them out with lots of tools. We need to stop being robots and start being more human on Twitter. I'm talking more about this at my talk at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego in a few weeks. But in this video, I'm going to share 5 of those examples. Example number 1, the practical advice list formula. There's a guy here called Aaron Lee that does this super well. He shares practical advice in a bite-sized list. So think about what useful information can you provide your audience, segment that into a really simple list-style tweet, and provide that and tweet that to your audience. It works incredibly well. Super simple, but works incredibly well. Aaron does this on a Wednesday with hashtag Wednesday Wisdom. It generates way more engagement than all of his other tweets, and it just works so well across the board. Number 2, the second type of high engaging tweet is to be more human. Okay? Look at companies like Wendy's, like Burger King. Look at how they're talking to their audiences on Twitter. They sound like a person, they sound like a human, not an automated, scheduled tool that isn't in their own tone of voice. So tweet sounding like a human. That will really help the engagement on your Twitter. Number 3, be witty. Okay? Being witty and entertaining on Twitter still really works. Look at, for example, I love this, Adweek, spelled ADWEAK on Twitter. They share loads of really funny, relatable tweets around breaking news in the marketing space, basically really sarcastic stuff that works really well and they generate a ton of engagement. So be witty. Number 4, Talk about culturally relevant topics only your target market will understand. For example, there's a great Twitter account called Vibe Tickets, and they sell tickets to their audience, to gigs and things like that. And they really understand that audience of people who go to gigs. And they talk about relatable situations, like when there was a tweet the other day when a gig goes to every town except yours, and they tweet hundreds of these types of tweets where they tap into the topics that people who go to gigs really understand and talk about with their friends. And finally, number 5, breaking industry news. This is still what Twitter is used for. Twitter is used to share information instantly, right? So that's why it's really great for breaking news. There's people like Matt Navarra, you should go and check him out. I still think he's some kind of bionic robot because of the volume of updates that he shares in terms of like breaking news and breaking social platform updates. Go and check out what he's doing. But think about your industry. What breaking news could you be sharing? As soon as you hear some breaking news, jump on Twitter, do a text-based tweet, do a video, go live on Twitter, you know. Try these different formats to share this breaking news with your audience, and it will generate lots of engagement. I hope you found this useful. If you have, please do subscribe, connect with me, follow me on Twitter. And we share weekly video tutorials like this to help you generate more leads and sales from your marketing online. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is hashtags. So hashtags are great for listening, learning, and engaging, first of all. So listen, learn, and engage with the hashtags used by your target audience. So again, the advanced search feature here is going to be really helpful for you to bring up these, the different hashtags that people are using. If you are planning on creating a hashtag for your own brand, your own hashtag, I've some tools in the last slide just to help you do that, because you don't want to jump on the wrong bandwagon. Sometimes hashtags are out there. There's one, I think it's McDonald's something, I'll tweet it later, I can't remember the exact one now, but if McDonald's were to use it, it would be a nightmare, because if you scroll through that hashtag, it's people's active hashtag to complain about them. So you'd want to be very careful about your hashtags sometimes, especially at this stage, because Twitter has been around for how many years now? Hashtags are well indexed on the platform. Best practice for using hashtags is 1 to 3 hashtags per tweet maximum. Anything else just looks like spam. You know yourself, when you scroll through and you see 100 hashtags, you just scroll past. It doesn't look great. Always use a service like hashtags.org if you're creating a brand. That's the one I was talking about there. And the next thing is use capital letters when you need them so people can read it. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is maximizing your B2B to Twitter chats. This is somewhat dead, somewhat alive. So Cork Hour, I had a look at it last week. It wasn't really booming that much. So you can get engaged with those, and you should look at the ones that are in your industry. Now in Ireland, I know that these are dying down a small bit, but if you have a more global market that you could tap into, really good. But I think a big thing that I haven't seen anyone tap into yet really is collaborating and starting your own Twitter chats. I mean, if you have 10 employees, you could set your boundaries. I'll do one, for example, with my company. So I work at a digital agency, and if we were to sit down and have a meeting about what should we do for our client on Instagram, we could go, right, what we're going to do is the guardrail here is the boundaries are we're not going to mention the client because that's unfair to them, and we're not going to talk about where they're at now. But we will talk about what we can do. And all of us could say, right, Monday night, 8 o'clock, we will have our meeting then on Twitter. Have your Twitter chat, and then you're absolutely engaging in your industry. 10 people tweeting at one time, that's a much further reach. It's just about thinking smart with the platform is small, but especially around things like that. I mean, that's just a quick example with your employees. You might have a big presentation, and after the presentation, you could say, right, we're going to sit down now and tweet for half an hour, just chat with each other. Instead of actually doing it in person, you could just kind of go, look, we'll have a chat about it later. Here's just always set up the boundaries, because you don't want anything like client information. You don't want a GDPR mess on your hands either. But it's a great way to try something different with the platform. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Twitter is news. So build a relationship with the press. Hashtag journal request. Sometimes it's journal requests, that's why I put the S like that. But it is a really good way to tap into a big reach. I mean, these are just some tweets I screen grabbed yesterday. Looking to speak to an accountant with an experience of media, marketing, advertising sector. Don't know if anyone in the room does that, but if you did, that's an article written about you very, very quickly, you know. I'm looking for a health and wellness. I work in Seller Magazine. Please send me any relevant information. If you had a new product in health and wellness, you'd have to, it would be right up your alley to get onto Megan Rowntree. The next one there, top journal request. What are the pros and cons of starting with a co-founder? Looking for real life examples for each entrepreneurs who've done it. I mean, these are probably everyone in the room. Question, what do you think women can do to empower other women at work? That's just something you could reply back to. Just engage with if that's relevant to your industry. Always keep an eye out for the blue tick, because those are the most important journalists. The others, I assume Stellar Magazine will get her blue tick in time, but the blue tick is important when you're kind of looking at journalists. But definitely, it's a hashtag I definitely keep an eye on. There's a website called presspass.me, and it has a full list of all of the Irish journalists on Twitter. I have that in the links at the end as well, so you'll get a copy of these slides anyway. But that's perfect because it actually narrows it down by different countries, first of all, and then the different media sources in those countries. So, for example, you click into Ireland and you're going to see RT, Irish Times, click in there, you'll see the full list of names and how active they are on Twitter. So here are the key tools that I use. Scheduling is fine. I know I'm talking so much about the human element, and that is really important. But you can be human on Buffer. You can still be human and schedule. There's nothing wrong about that. It's just don't go in. My worst nightmare is someone goes into Twitter and tweets their 5 or 6 tweets all in one go. Oh, done for the day. Like, you know, just schedule them out if you want to do everything at once. But 9 a.m., 1 p.m. Think of your own times. Think of when you get up in the morning. You have a quick nose at your phone. Well, I do anyway. I do again around 11 when I'm maybe having a cup of tea. Again at lunch. I probably do again around 3 when I get home. I'd probably be cooking dinner and stuff, so I wouldn't look at the phone again until about 8 or 9. Think of your own daily patterns, because that's when you pick up your phone, that's what you do. You have a quick nose on Twitter. Audience is a really good insights platform. I'd recommend just taking a look at that. That's just one you can kind of play around with and see what works best. TweetDeck is mixed use. It's a mixture. You can do some scheduling on it. You can get a little bit of insights on it as well. It's great if you want to monitor your competitors. Definitely take a look at TweetDeck if you're not using it already. Hashtagify is great for looking at hashtags in your industry, see what people are talking about. PressPass, that's the one I was talking about just there with the journalists. That's the full list of journalists around the world. It's a beta platform, so be prepared for a few glitches on it, no doubt, but the information is there and it's to hand and it's perfectly good. TweetReach, I've used this before and it is so good. So I used to work in Cork Chamber and we used to run the Cork Digital Marketing Awards, and straight away afterwards we would run a TweetReach report on the hashtag and we would see straight away how many people engaged with it, how many accounts were reached. You'd see 1 million accounts, 500,000 use the hashtag. I assume Sarah will be doing it straight after this conference as well to see how well Amplify Digi hashtag did. It's great. Feedly is something I use both personally and for Twitter. It is fantastic. If you want to, it'll give you a curated feed of articles. So essentially what I do on it is I'm interested in marketing, obviously. So I have a marketing tab in there and it'll literally say, these are all the most popular articles in marketing. Do you want to add these to your feed? So I'd have Marketing Week, Ad Week, all of these kind of magazines and news outlets that feed out marketing information. You can do this across finance, health, well, anything you want, and it will tell you in an orderly fashion the most popular article every day, including a few underneath it. It's a free service as well. Now, you can upgrade if you want to have 6 or 7 feeds on the go, but it's really good because you could just comment on these articles. You can find out very quickly, if you click into the article, who wrote it, go to their Twitter account, retweet, say, oh, I saw your article, that's great. So yeah, I have about 4 minutes now to take any questions. Does anyone have any questions?
What do you think about the use of
polls? It depends on your followers, really. It depends on how engaged people are with you already. If they're not, then you're probably not going to see much from them. But the best thing to do is say, how many people roughly are in your company?
Oh, in our company?
Yeah.
In my area, it's about 25.
Oh, perfect. You have a few people you could tap into to say, look, go vote in the poll. I know that would skew the results, but you could do, as in, like, do that for the first one. Just spark the engagement there a little bit, because sometimes that's all people need, is just that little bit of a spark. People want to see that your account is engaged. Nobody wants to engage with an account that's not engaged with. I mean, it's one of those things. We do it naturally. But the best thing you could do there is just spark the engagement yourself and then see how it goes from there. And it's similar to the Twitter chats I was talking about earlier. If you get a little bit involved there, then it's great. Anyone else? Yeah?
From like day-to-day management, so to feed the media studio and the ads,
Yeah.
that would have to be from your Twitter account on your desktop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've used Tweetdeck, so obviously we have like 5 different pages that I manage.
Yeah.
Tweetdeck is fine in that sense, but you're missing all of that.
You are missing all of that, yeah. You can tap into it a little bit. I mean, the media studio is great if you can kind of integrate a small bit. I know you can't access it from your phone, but trying to think. I don't know if you can access it from the browser.
Pages.
Yeah.
Do you know you have to have a account for each page?
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? No? Well, if you have any extra questions, feel free to give me a tweet and I'll get back to you. And if you have anything you want to ask me a little bit more private about your business, feel free to just send it to my inbox, because if you don't want to tweet that out, that's absolutely perfect as well. Cool? Great.